Before the Bowl Championship Series and the College Football Playoff, the national champions were crowned by a combination of polls and sports writers. This often led to co-national champions and controversy. Ideally, these postseason bowl games should match up the best teams from each conference. However, in reality, the postseason bowl selection process leaned towards personal invites, conference obligation, and overall tradition, as opposed to selecting the best teams from each conference in order to create an epic postseason matchup. In addition to this bias, programs from the Group of 5 mid-major conferences, despite having dominant seasons that resulted in an undefeated record, were never given an equal chance to participate in some of the noteworthy postseason bowl games. As the Bowl Championship Series was created to declare a national champion from a number 1 versus number 2 format, and the College Football Playoff gave overall more clarity, one thing remained constant, is that programs from the Group of 5 mid-majors, such as Boise State and Central Florida, were never given an equal chance to compete amongst the elite within college football. That changed in 2021. In this episode, we're going to explore the rise of the Cincinnati Bearcats, a program long overshadowed by the powerhouses of the Midwest, such as Ohio State, Notre Dame, and Michigan, as they became the very first program from the Group of 5 mid-majors to break the glass ceiling and reach the College Football Playoff. We're going to further explore that dominant season under head coach Luke Fickell and all of the players that made that amazing season happen. In addition to this, we're going to explore how that season concluded and how they became a legacy for many teams in their position to aspire. So if you like this type of content, please be sure to like and subscribe to College Football Legends. So without further delay, let's jump right into our topic. The Cincinnati Bearcats transitioned into the Division I ranks as a member of Conference USA, and they built their reputation on playing hard-nosed football as they played solid on defense and controlling the clock with a formidable smash-mouth running attack on offense. Their consistency and growth as a program earned them an invite as a member of the Big East Conference, which formed into what we know now as the American Athletic Conference. Despite its Group of 5 designation, the American Athletic touts itself as a power conference due to its ties with the former Big East that contained programs such as Virginia Tech, West Virginia, and Miami. Prior to that historic 2021 season, the Bearcats posted consecutive back-to-back 11-win seasons in 2018 and 2019. The 2020 season was overshadowed by the COVID-19 pandemic. This was a time of uncertainty, filled with misinformation and polarizing views on addressing one of the biggest health crises in generations. The 2020 college football season was a glimmer of normalcy in a time of global turmoil. The Cincinnati Bearcats bounded together as a united program, and they blew through the regular season competition, posting an undefeated regular season record, and they earned an invite to the Peach Bowl against the Georgia Bulldogs. As many thought to have predicted, the Southeastern Conference Blue Bloods from Athens, Georgia would dominate their smaller opponents located just north of the Ohio River. The site of the Peach Bowl at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia, this was potentially a disadvantage for the Cincinnati Bearcats because it's only 70 miles southwest from the University of Georgia. In addition to this would basically be a home game due to the large Georgia Bulldog fan base in the greater Atlanta metro area. In a stadium that seats over 75,000 with deafening crowd noise, this could be potentially overwhelming for any visiting team in this situation. However, due to the COVID-19 pandemic social distancing mandates, only 15,000 fans were in attendance, and this unusual and reduced crowd noise evened the playing field for the Bearcats. And man, oh man, did they take advantage. Early in the first quarter, they wanted to show the Georgia Bulldogs that they were not a charity invite. The Bearcats came out of the corner like a determined heavyweight as they came right out of that corner and punched Georgia right in the mouth with a barrage of haymakers. As they stunned the Bulldogs and they dominated the running game, the fast and relentless defense of the Cincinnati Bearcats put intense pressure on Georgia's quarterback JT Daniels. Despite leading 21-10 in the third quarter, Cincinnati found themselves trailing 22-21 after Georgia nailed a crucial late fourth quarter field goal for 53 yards. With only seconds left in the fourth quarter, and Cincinnati had the ball on their own 2-yard line after that field goal, on the final play of regulation and light years away from field goal range. In addition to this, it was an eternity of 98 yards needed to score a touchdown. In a last-ditch effort, quarterback Desmond Ridder, out of pure desperation, attempted to throw the ball deep, and ultimately it led to a costly sack in the end zone, resulting in a safety, which ended the game abruptly in the most heartbreaking fashion. After that heartbreaking loss, no one gave the Cincinnati Bearcats a chance. However, they pushed their opponents of the Georgia Bulldogs, a heavily favored opponent, to the limit, and they showed everyone that they were capable of playing amongst the elite within college football, and they gained the respect of the entire college football world. As the nucleus of that Bearcat roster remained intact after that heartbreaking Peach Bowl loss, they were looking to build off of that momentum from the previous season and a legitimate push to make college football history. As head coach Luke Fickell, along with key returning starters on offense in quarterback Desmond Ridder and running back Jerome Ford, including defensive stars Sauce Gardner, Myjai Sanders, and Kobe Bryant. Not exactly the one you're thinking. With this roster assembled, they were poised to take the 2021 season by storm. For the 2021 season, the Bearcats dominated their competition within the American Athletic Conference. One advantage that was granted to this particular team that was denied to their predecessors, such as Boise State and Central Florida, was a favorable preseason ranking. And we'll discuss this further later into this video. As the 8th-ranked Cincinnati Bearcats faced a crucial midseason test against the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, the Bearcats marched into Notre Dame Stadium in South Bend, Indiana, and they dominated the Fighting Irish in every aspect of the game. Desmond Ridder threw for 300 yards and he accounted for 3 touchdowns, and that daunting Cincinnati defense forced 3 turnovers. Their 24-13 win over Notre Dame solidified their chances to reach the college football playoff. There are so many examples where teams in their position will stumble over a lesser opponent, ruining their chances at a national championship. However, this Cincinnati Bearcat team continued to dominate after that thrilling midseason victory over Notre Dame en route to the postseason. As they closed out that regular season, they defeated the Houston Cougars for the conference championship in convincing fashion 35-20. And Cincinnati was ranked 4th in the nation, and they were in prime position to earn that 4th spot for the college football playoff. Although this 2021 Cincinnati Bearcat team had done the nearly impossible, there was still skepticism that they would earn that 4th and final playoff spot. And I'll explain further how a team so dominant and consistent would have their doubts. Let's go all the way back to 2008 through 2011 for the Boise State Broncos, as they only lost 3 games in the span of 4 years. And the 2017-2018 Central Florida Golden Knights had an epic 25-game win streak over the span of 2 seasons. Despite these epic accomplishments from both programs, neither team had a legitimate chance to compete for the national championship. And I'll explain further what separated those iconic programs from the 2021 Cincinnati Bearcats. Both Boise and Central Florida had to overcome low preseason rankings despite finishing the previous year undefeated. Central Florida lost their starting quarterback in the most tragic fashion prior to this postseason in 2018. Boise, despite being ranked 3rd in the country, suffered a heartbreaking midseason loss to their hated rivals the Nevada Wolfpack as a result of a late 4th quarter missed field goal back in 2010. Both programs would have to overcome historically powerhouse programs such as Alabama, Auburn, Clemson, and Florida that featured legends such as Mark Ingram, Cam Newton, Trevor Lawrence, and Tim Tebow. Conversely, the stars had finally aligned for the Cincinnati Bearcats as they finished the season as the only undefeated team for the 2021 campaign. And that program garnered postseason accolades, such as Luke Fickell being named Head Coach of the Year, and defensive back Kobe Bryant was named the Jim Thorpe Award winner as the nation's most outstanding defensive back. Quarterback Desmond Ridder and cornerback Sauce Gardner were named American Athletic Conference Offensive and Defensive Player of the Year, respectively. In addition to everything that was falling in place for this particular Cincinnati Bearcat program, there was a well-documented history of excluding deserving Group of 5 programs from the national championship in favor of power conference tradition. On top of this, there was immense pressure from fans, coaches, sports writers, and even current and former presidents of the United States to give this deserving Cincinnati Bearcat program a chance to compete for the national championship. On the night of the college football playoff selection show, the 4 teams were announced on ESPN, and the Cincinnati Bearcats sat patiently and anxiously waiting to hear their postseason fates. Of course, the usual suspects for the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd spots were announced in Alabama, Georgia, and Michigan, and then the suspense of the final team build. Reese Davis would open the envelope and read the name, the Cincinnati Bearcats, and there was instant eruption in joy and jubilation as the Bearcats had made college football history, as they were selected to face Alabama in the semifinal in Dallas, Texas, as they became the first Group of 5 program to make the college football playoff and compete for that coveted national championship. So I know this story is building up as a Cinderella Disney movie-like scenario where the lowly underdogs of college football against all odds takes down the bullies of college football and wins the national championship. It doesn't go down like that. The Cotton Bowl Classic was the site of the 2021 semifinal that was held at AT&T Stadium in Dallas, Texas, against the #1 Alabama Crimson Tide, as they were the defending national champions from the previous season. The Bearcats, they played tough, hard-nosed football all throughout the first quarter, yet they trailed the entire game. Quarterback Desmond Ridder was swarmed by the Alabama defense, as they were only able to muster just slightly over 200 yards of total offense. Conversely, Alabama running back Brian Robinson rushed for over 200 yards, and their Heisman-winning quarterback Bryce Young threw for 3 touchdowns. Despite Cincinnati's historic journey to the college football playoff, they got a sobering dose of reality, and they were demolished 27-6 by a much more dominant, powerful program. This wasn't for lack of effort or determination on Cincinnati's behalf. It was a result of a drastic talent gap between a powerhouse program and a mid-major team. I think we all can relate to a situation where there was a bully at our school, or just an older sibling that was just bigger, older, and more stronger than we were. It didn't make us any less of a person. It's just with their age, size, and strength, it created a physical mismatch that resulted us getting stuffed in a locker, pushed down in the playground, having our lunch money stolen, or in Cincinnati's case, being destroyed 27-6 on national television. There was absolutely no shame in Cincinnati's defeat at the hands of the defending national champions in the Alabama Crimson Tide. Alabama, they didn't necessarily play one of the most inspiring, passionate games in recent memory against Cincinnati. They were just a bigger, meaner, and stronger program that imposed their will on the mid-major program of the Cincinnati Bearcats, despite their accomplishments that season. As a person who always pulls for the underdog, that devastating loss to Alabama in the Cotton Bowl might reinforce why deserving teams in their position in the past that might have lacked the pedigree may have been overlooked in the past. Ultimately, Cincinnati had an abrupt and heartbreaking end to their magical season, but they opened the door that had been slammed shut for many programs in their position for decades. With the new 12-team format, this hopefully will allow more teams from the Group of 5 from the Mountain West, Sun Belt, American Athletic, Mid-American, and Conference USA a chance. The previous 14 playoff, I personally thought was kind of unfair for the 60-plus Group of 5 programs to fight for only one of the 4 potential spots, especially in many occasions where the SEC and the Big Ten had 2 teams to compete for the 4-team playoff. The early rounds of the current system of the 12-team format does have some disadvantages. The opening rounds of the playoff are now played on campus, as opposed to a neutral site such as the Rose Bowl, Peach Bowl, or the Fiesta. Imagine the Boise States or the Central Floridas of the world beginning their playoff journey on the road into a hostile environment. In addition to this, can you picture a program like Tulane having to go into the big house at Michigan with 100,000 screaming fans? Unless it's 2007 and you're Appalachian State University, the odds are not going to be in your favor, which I actually cover in another video if you're interested, and I'll leave a link for that in the description below. After that epic season, head coach Luke Fickell eventually left Cincinnati for the Wisconsin job, and star defensive backs Sauce Gardner and Kobe Bryant have had productive careers for the Seattle Seahawks and New York Jets respectively. Desmond Ridder, he's carved a journeyman career for himself as he's the backup quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals. That Bearcat program has since struggled to rekindle that magic from that amazing 2021 season. After they have moved to the Big 12, they have been in a constant state of mediocrity as a power conference program. The new name, image, and likeness and transfer portal era has made their return to glory even more challenging. What were your thoughts on today's topic? Do you think Cincinnati's devastating loss to Alabama was a result of them being the lowest seed and having to face the defending national champions? Or do you think that that particular loss was a reason why programs in their position were previously left out of the national championship conversation? I want to hear your thoughts and theories in the comment section below. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video just as much as I enjoyed making it for you. And if you found value in this particular video, please be sure to share this with your friends and family. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. And by subscribing, you will never miss an episode of College Football Legends. Until next time.